Today, I've made a decision far worse than anything you've done in your entire life. Worse than that time you tried sneaking a fart in class and failed, and worse than the way you used to text back in 2012. Because today, I cranked up the difficulty of Marvel's Spider-Man beyond anything you've ever seen. I mean, look at this, even the game realizes I've broken it. Now, in case these long bars of red death don't already convey to you how much suffering is going to take place in this video, let me translate it for you. Enemies have 4 times health and 2 times attack speed, and we have to defeat them without taking damage. Now, the insanity of this challenge alone would make any normal person quiver in fear, but I'm not a normal person. I'm Spider-Man. I stare down the face of danger and rush bravely into—
These years and you still haven't learned.
Yeah, so anytime I take damage, I have to reset to the last checkpoint. And trust me, you're gonna be seeing a lot of that, because I'm gonna be dying more than the last Spider-Man you played with in Marvel Rivals. Right off the bat, this challenge made me feel more like the human spider than Spider-Man. Trying to attack them was more or less useless, so my best bet was to lure them over to the wall and web them up. After over 20 minutes, I ended this fight with 16 resets and a lot of my sanity already stripped away. The next fight was chaotic, and I was trying to web up enemies, but guess what else this difficulty does? It gives the enemies web resistance. And it didn't help that literally any time I started a combo, someone would start aiming at me. Oh yeah, by the way, you see the flames randomly scattered around? Yeah, these were the banes of my existence in this challenge. After 7 resets, the next part of the tutorial forces you to take damage to heal, which of course we're not going to count, otherwise this challenge would be literally impossible. Next up, we've got a couple more thugs. Nothing to really note here. Oh, damn, that guy's dead.
No! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Normally you're able to relax here a little bit because there's no enemies to fight, but me being the idiot I am, I walked into the fire. Yeah, don't say anything. So remember how I just said enemies have 2 times attack speed? Yeah, well, there's an enemy here that very rudely introduces you to rocket launchers. This normally happens as a hybrid cutscene kind of thing, and the game of course expects you to dodge, but with how fast enemies attack in this challenge, we're literally forced to eat the rocket, even after mashing my controller fast enough to break the sound barrier. So we're not gonna count it. And don't worry, it's not a cop-out. This is the last piece of force damage in the entire challenge. After we experience one of the top 10 anime betrayals of all time, we meet with Fisk, and let me tell you, this fight was downright awful. But I won't just tell you it was awful, I'll show you why it was awful.
Wanna see me run?
Oh!
You wanna see me do it again?
Nope. Nope.
Come get some. I'm fast as fuck, boy. Still fast as fuck, boy.
Can I just like stay up here? Yeah, so how are you doing? Yeah, I feel that. Our only other option here is to throw objects at him, but since objects here are limited, that's not really a solution. And I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. This fight took all the positive feelings I had, threw them in the trash, and then took a gigantic shit on them. I got so beat down in this fight that after over an hour of fighting him, I took a break to go eat some ramen. After slurping up the last noodle, I came back with a calm mind, and after a few more tries, I had a massive breakthrough. For whatever reason, jumping off of Fisk stuns him just long enough to extend your combo. Looks like all that time playing fighting games finally paid off.
Fatality.
The taste of victory very quickly faded when I was thrust into the second phase of this fight and realized that I'd have to do that insane 200 hit combo again, with fire scattered around and while Fisk has backup.
2 hours later.
Holy fucking shit, finally! After an agonizing 22 resets and a broken back, we finally escaped the torturous tutorial and are free to explore the beautiful city of New York. A city that I'll probably hate by the end of this video. Now we head over to Otto's lab because we're late for work, and by the way, am I the only person who prefers Peter's old design? Cause I don't know, the new one just doesn't look right, dude. Anyway, of course, since we're in the lab, we have to do some puzzles. Oh hey, there's a skip button. Hey, wait. What are you doing? No. That's buttons not for you. Stop. Okay, seriously, that was an awful challenge. And you are single-handedly the worst. Oh, you came back. Awesome. You're just in time to meet Yuri. Although she doesn't seem very happy to meet you. But anyway, Yuri wants us to fix a tower which notifies us of a nearby crime and presents us with one of life's biggest mysteries. Why the f do people in this city even try to commit crimes when they know Spider-Man will stop them? After giving these thugs lifelong concussions, Yuri then wants us to stop an assault in progress. And this crime in particular is stupid because we get a pop-up here that locks us in an animation while this guy gets to charge up an attack for free. After taking a short break from crime fighting, Peter realizes he's reached peak levels of terrible hygiene, prompting us to go change into something more fresh before— oh shit, wrong footage. Please keep that between me and you. After putting the right suits on, we head over to a Fisk construction site, and this puts us through an insane battle with 6 waves of enemies. But before we can start this chaotic battle, our boss texts us, which normally would make your heart stop, but in this case it's all good, because he's just teaching us how to make a new Spidey gadget. Impact webs. Super useful and one-shots enemies if used correctly. Now luckily the first wave can actually be handled with stealthy knockouts, but afterwards it's pure combat. After suffering a frustrating wipe on the 3rd wave, we restart and play a little more strategically this time. Instead of fighting enemies out in the open, I lured them into the small room and unleashed a devastating combo of finishers, web shots, and air combos on them. We then celebrate our victory with some upgrades to our web shooters, and it's here that we make a haunting discovery. Apparently, the mod we're using to buff the enemies causes a glitch where we literally can't upgrade our innovator or defender skill trees, which unfortunately means a lot of the combat upgrades are locked for the duration of this challenge. Hey, yeah, it's me from the future. There is actually a very easy way to fix this issue. I was just too lazy at the time to do it. Now we head over to the Feast homeless shelter where we help Martin Lee and Aunt May with a party, but of course, as an introvert, the only good thing at a party is the food. So rest assured, I grabbed some cake and got the fuck out of there. As soon as we're out, we make our way over to an art museum where some demons are holding a worker hostage, and this starts out as a tutorial for stealth gameplay, but very quickly devolves into the worst level known to mankind. You know what? I actually know how to fix this level.
Maximum pulse!
After demolishing the rest of the demons in this museum with 0 resets, we take a moment to insult MJ before swinging off into the night sky and running into Shocker. What's a Shocker? I'm sorry, I'll see myself out. This goes pretty smoothly for a while until he decides he's had enough of our shenanigans. Now, we do eventually catch Shocker and have him arrested, but unfortunately, just like the real American justice system, he gets out 5 minutes later, and we have to go stop him again. Now, it's at this point in the video that I want you guys to understand something. Something that's going to be very important for understanding just a fraction of the sheer frustration I felt in this challenge, which is hearing the same voice line over and over and over again.
Remember our first fight? Me so young and stupid, you just stupid. Remember our first fight? Remember our—
Yeah, so you want to know what makes his fights hard? He attacks instantaneously, which completely bugs out the dodging time. After getting penetrated by this ungodly beam of death 24 times in a row, we enter his second phase. And you know something? I can't even put into words how unbelievably precise my button inputs had to be to beat this phase. You have to dodge 8 times in a row and get an obscenely well-timed web pull on the ceiling to try and pull it down on him. And if you don't grab a hold of the ceiling, the literal millisecond Shocker enters his cooldown phase. Then we make our way over to the stocking warehouse, and I gotta say, big round of applause for the people guarding this place because they actually made me reset twice here. While helping Jeff investigate the warehouse, we learn how to make electro webs, which are going to play a massive role in me not losing my actual on one of the future bosses in this challenge. We learn that demons are raiding Fisk's supplies here, and after knocking some of them out in the parking lot, we have to chase a few that escaped with the truck. You know you've got your priorities straight when you stop to snap a picture in the middle of a high-speed chase. After catching them with the help of Jeff, we get into another heated argument with MJ before heading off to our apartment and realizing we've been evicted and all of our stuff was thrown away. This leads us on a wild dumpster diving goose chase until we find our old flash drive, which gives us our next helpful gadget, the web bomb. This gadget is going to be our lifeblood for beating groups of enemies the size of a crowd at Comic-Con. Now, hearing me say that, you'd expect this next fight will have gone smoothly, but it didn't. These thugs got their back alley payback on me 3 times before I was able to move on, but I swear the web bomb is actually going to save us many times in this challenge. After facing the devastation of being evicted, Peter swings over to MJ's house and considers making amends with her so he can sleep on her couch. But of course, him being the genius that he is, he makes a smart move here and decides to just look around on Tinder instead. He makes a match right away.
Hey there, Spider. Come to this address.
But unfortunately gets played and ghosted. After exhausting all his options, Peter crashes at Feast and wakes up with his 2021 stimulus check. We head off into the city, fail another crime, and witness one of the goofiest things I've ever seen in this game. Then we make our way over to Fisk's newly constructed tower, and this presents us with one of the longest gauntlets of enemies in the game. We take out a couple of groups of enemies, and after a quick break to watch a motivational video we'll follow for a day and forget, we carry on to take out the rest of the thugs. Luckily, these groups of enemies are separated into different areas, which means we can get some easy stealth KOs at the start of each encounter. And for those of you who don't believe that Spider-Man kills people, I want you to watch this. Now, we head over to City Hall, where Jeff gets a Medal of Honor for his bravery at the Demon Warehouse. He steps up to the podium, takes a deep breath, and says,
Miles, the Black One!
Things go pretty smoothly for a while after the City Hall bombing, and after visiting a demon hideout, we learn how to make trip mines, which are going to be another valuable asset in keeping us from losing our sanity. This gadget is a one-way ticket to death for any enemy unlucky enough to get touched by it. This part of the game gives us plenty of time to relax, so I decided to commit an act many of you would consider an atrocity, switching to the amazing Spider-Man suit. But no, seriously, I actually love this suit. The only bad thing about it is
Those eyes! Those horrible yellow eyes!
there is another MJ mission here, but I decided to pull a pro gamer move and call over my old pal Mike to make sure we don't have to sit through that garbage. Thanks to that pro strat, we're able to quickly get back into the action and head off to rescue Oscorp's CFO, Charles Standish. Things go really well until we actually enter the building and have to crawl through the elevator shafts. There's demons here that check the elevator shaft and even throw firebombs at you, but what made me reset here is the fact that the building takes giant dumps on you by dropping the elevators. You would think that this would be easy to dodge, but I don't know, I just kept freezing like a deer in headlights. Once we reach the floor Standish is on, we quickly demolish a group of demons, but sadly, we aren't fast enough to save Standish and he fucking dies. Now we head over to a college Halloween party to rescue a scientist from demons, and like any reasonable person, you would think that the biggest danger here would be from the literal supercharged bad guys with guns or the sumo slammer wannabe, but no, Lee corrupts a few of the partygoers and they absolutely manhandle us. I mean, look at this, what is this? I take damage before I can even move. After 3 infuriating resets, we move on to, again, MJ? No, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. As I was saying, we're able to move on to an intense chase through the city with the demons in an armored truck. I had to reset once during this chase because, I don't know, I guess I just forgot how to use the freaking camera. It's the part after this that was truly negative. Alright, fine, I'll stop with the bad puns. Anyway, yeah, we get sucked into Martin Lee's negative dimension, and Lee throws an absurd amount of enemies at us. After 10 resets and a bulging vein in my forehead, I finally stopped being an idiot and remembered that I had web bombs. These sticky globs of goop were the key to my success in this fight, because when combined with this suit upgrade, we're able to charge our finishers faster than SpongeBob running. After finally making it to Lee and breaking out of his negative dimension, the truck we're on crashes, and we don't run into him again until Grand Central Station. This leads us into a boss fight on a train that should be very easy since it's a cinematic fight, but alas, After getting slammed by his depresso waves a total of 16 times, we knock him out, and I don't know about you, but I think it's time to put on the best suit in the game, in preparation for the worst part of the challenge. So basically, we need to go to the raft prison to help stop a breakout, and while the prisoners themselves made me reset a couple of times, the real problem here is the Sinister Six. The pain they inflict on Spidey in this cutscene is absolutely nothing compared to the pain I felt when trying to beat their boss fights. Before we can even get to those boss fights though, we have to get through the city, which is now overrun by demons, prisoners, and Sable agents all trying to snipe us out of the sky. Which actually worked more times than I care to admit, quite frankly. Our fiasco with the Sinister Six begins with Electro and the demons. Actually, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. But all I know is they rained pure hellfire down on me. Even so, these fiery meteors are nothing compared to what we're about to experience. We head over to Doc Ock's secret hideout, spend way too long figuring out how to actually advance the mission, and then get kidnapped by Vulture, who brings us into a 1v1 with Electro. Very similar to the Shocker fight, Electro's projectile speed is so fast that it's hard to accurately dodge, but it's 10 times worse since you now have to perfectly dodge while constantly swinging. Many of my attempts here ended the moment I jumped back into the fight. If you don't know what it feels like to get spawn camped in a shooter game, here you go. After 14 attempts and all the torture I've endured from the previous parts of this challenge, I was actually starting to go insane. But instead of quitting another challenge, I pushed through with 2 more attempts and activated the next phase. This was the worst f***ing decision I've ever made in my entire life. The second phase turns the fight into a 2v1, and the first attempt was going great at first. Like seriously, I was actually surviving for quite a while. But then I died, and oh my god. After my 56th attempt, I took out Vulture and turned my gaze towards Electro. It was time to unleash unholy vengeance on this man for how many times? Each failed attempt was one step closer to me turning into Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. To make matters worse, even if you beat Vulture, it doesn't count as a checkpoint, meaning if you beat one of them but then you die, you still have to restart the entire fight. At first, I was tackling Vulture, but after getting pancaked 60 times in a row, I was like, screw this, let me go fight Electro first. But yeah, no, that didn't work either. So I went back to just brute forcing Vulture, and do you want to know how many times I restarted this fight? Are you sure? Do you actually want to know? 126 resets. After that mentally exhausting battle, Spider-Man decides to do what he honestly should have done at the start of the prison breakout. Let the city burn. Just kidding, but he and I both took a long break here. Next up, we've got to go deal with Scorpion, and that takes us through an absolute acid trip of a level before getting to what's technically the first phase of his boss fight, fighting a bunch of hallucinations. Now, I don't know what happened here, but I was literally just about to take out the last one on my first attempt, but then I got knocked out and ended up resetting 4 times. Guys, this fight took me literally 5 days. I'd come onto the game, try to beat it, get off, come back, and repeat. I thought I was actually going to be stuck here forever, and I kind of wanted to just give up at one point and just pretend I never recorded this challenge, but I don't know. Something just told me to keep going no matter how hard it got. So Rhino is like Kingpin, but on steroids. Unbelievably fast with a rock attack that travels across the screen at the speed of light. We take an annoying 9 resets here in his first phase, but of course, just like the last fight, we now get ganged up on. This is a stupidly long fight that was sapping all the remaining hope I had in trying to beat this challenge. Scorpion shoots poison at you constantly and has to be webbed up to hit, but if you remember our Kingpin fight, the enemies in this game have a lot of web resistance, so sitting there in a 2v1 trying to spam webs for hours was not going to cut it. And because of Rhino's instant rock attack and his permanent super speed, the crossfire in this battle is stressful to deal with. Honestly though, the hardest part of this fight in my opinion is just the fact that it takes so long. Like, Rhino has the same health bar as Kingpin. After 36 agonizingly long attempts, I decided it was time to switch things up. I needed a new strategy. Even though leaving this mission was going to make me redo his first phase, I decided it was worth it. After checking all around my inventory, I decided I needed a few key upgrades to win this fight. The spider drone gadget, which summons helpful bots that shoot at enemies, the full charge capacitors, which are perfect for this challenge since we can't take damage anyway, and finally the Tom Holland suit, so I could unlock the Spider Bro, which is basically just the spider drones but in Super Saiyan form. After a long journey of gathering crime tokens, research tokens, and base tokens, we finally got what we needed for our upgrades, and we very conveniently already had the resources we needed to fully upgrade the spider drones. With all that preparation out of the way, we head back over to the docks, beat the actual stuffing out of Rhino, and bravely make our way back into the second phase with our new gear. Yeah, I got you there, didn't I? You thought I was about to make a badass entrance back into the fight and whoop them, didn't you? Well, hey, I wasn't even trying to troll you there, seriously. I just wanted you to understand what I felt like when I did all this preparation, just to come back to the fight and keep losing. After about 100 resets, I had a breakthrough. Apparently, the electro webs are able to knock Scorpion down in just one shot, which is ironic because that's what the impact web should be doing. But in any case, this newfound knowledge is what helps save us from breaking past 200 resets. I even paused the second the cutscene started playing to go tell my wife that I beat the boss. Wow, that sounds like something a kid would do. And if you want to know exactly how many times I reset here, 186. Moving right along, we now have to rescue Norman Osborn after he's been taken hostage by Lee. Now, I don't know what kind of energy drinks or whatever the enemies outside this building were taking, but sweet mother of I reset 12 times before I was able to finally head inside, and I managed to barrel through Lee's first phase, but it's at this point in the game that we face the largest possible group of enemies at once, with Lee in the center throwing more depresso waves at us. My best bet in this fight was to actually just swing around like a coward and wait for an opening on Lee. Seriously, while this fight is a little BS, for some reason you're able to get away with just swinging around constantly to avoid almost all of the damage. After 24 resets, it doesn't matter that we beat Lee because Doc Ock comes in and breaks every single bone in our body. After a brief recovery at Feast, it's now time for the final battle. Now, maybe it's because I was tired. Maybe it's because I had already endured so much emotional damage by partaking in this challenge, but I was just so close to giving up here. The constant restarting, the constant failures, it was all getting to me. I was even wondering why I was even bothering spending my time trying to make this video. Doc Ock, by far, has the most health in this entire challenge, and despite him having a second phase, there is no checkpoint between his first phase and his second phase. A dozen resets, a dozen more, 50 more, and then 50 more on top of that, and then even more on top of that. Things were looking actually hopeless here. But then I remembered something. Spider-Man doesn't give up. Being a hero isn't about power. It's about refusing to break no matter how many times the world tries to break you. It's about standing back up no matter how many times you're knocked down. It's about the choices you make when no one is watching. It's about what you do when there's nothing left to give, but you give anyway. Spider-Man doesn't give up. Peter Parker doesn't give up. And no matter how hard this fight gets, neither can I.
We don't have much time! Please!
I'll turn over the anti-serum when Osborn pays for his crime!
Just give me the anti-serum! You've already done enough to ruin Osborn!
No! He always bounces back! He has to lose everything!
I know your weaknesses!
I have no weaknesses! Stop playing! let you in. It means too much to me. More than it means to me. Can't you see all the people you're hurting? You'll never understand! You haven't suffered like I have! You should be on my side! I won! Please, think of the man you were! That man is gone. You meant so much to me! I hate that you're making me do this! We were going to change the world! If you want to change the world, you have to be the kind of man who can make the hardest decisions. I couldn't agree more!
Now, I think I deserve some
Pizza time.
after all this bullshit.